Yes, it is spring. It's finally getting warm. Easter is in a few days. So I wanted to show you how I brightened up my whole house with one of my favorite spring flowers, the tulip, using a simple, creative method. And of course, my favorite flower making material, coffee filters. To make my coffee filter tulips, I'm using white and natural color coffee filters. I'm also using food coloring and a green rubber-coated garden flex wire. This wire I got from the hardware store for about $2 for 10 feet. You'll also need a hot glue gun. First, I'm going to start by dyeing my coffee filters. I'm using food coloring for this, and I'm starting with the leaves. So I am going to put in a little bit of water, enough to cover the coffee filters, and a lot of green, and just about a drop of or two of yellow. Now for my tulip leaves, I'm using the natural color coffee filters because it's a darker color and it has some yellow in it. I think it'll help with making that leaf color. Now when you're dyeing the coffee filters, they always come out a lot lighter than the color that you put in. So you might want to put in more green to make it darker. And really let that soak in. Maybe separate the sheets and turn it over. And you want to let that sit in the dye for at least 10 minutes. Then you want to squeeze out the excess water, and I'm putting this on a little plate. And one of my viewers tried drying this in the microwave instead of the oven, which is what I usually do. So I wanted to try that to see how that worked. So I put it in the microwave for about 4 minutes and it worked. They dried pretty nicely. Of course, they're a lot lighter than I wanted them, but this should do the job. So like I said, I dyed the green for the leaves. Of course, you could dye any color you want for whatever color flowers you like. I just happen to have some yellow sheets that I dyed for other flowers, and I'm going to use those yellow sheets for the inside of my flower. Using a green wire, I'm going to cut 18-inch stems to make long stem tulips. I'll be making white tulips to go into a tall vase. Using needle nose pliers, I'm going to bend the top end over and press that in. So I'm making what will look like the inside parts of the flower head, the pistil and stigma and stigmens and all those different flower parts that at a glance it'll look like that. So I'm taking a yellow sheet and I'm folding it a couple of times, and I'm going to just cut little slits in the top of it, about a 1/2 inch long. Cut little slits real close together all the way around, and then I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch below that. Then I'm going to open it up, and then I'm going to cut about 2.5 inches of fringe for each flower. I'm putting a little hot glue slightly below the top of my stem of my flower, and I'm going to use the fringe and just wrap it right around the neck of the stem. Now tulips have a little bulge at the bottom of the flower, so to give the flower that bulgy look, I'm going to take another coffee filter and I'm going to roll it into a tube. And then I'm going to hot glue and roll that around the stem right below the fringe. Now it's time to put the petals on. To make my petals, I'm using only 1 coffee filter per flower. I'm going to fold the sheet in half, then fold it in half again, then fold it in half one more time. Now I'm going to lightly draw a tulip petal. Now there are all different types of shapes for tulips, but I'm going to draw something simple and cut that shape out. I'm also going to cut a very tiny piece of the tip off. Now when you unfold and open that up, you'll have 8 petals and a hole in the middle. Now the real tulip only has 6 petals, but this is the easiest way to make it and it'll still look just like a tulip. Now you want to make sure all the petals are separated, so if you have any that are linked together, you want to cut those apart and cut those all the way down very close to the circle in the center. Now you're going to push the stem through the circle in the petals and push those petals all the way up to the top of the flower. And I'm going to push the petals back and put a little hot glue around the base of that bulge in the flower and just sort of stick the bottom part of those petals down onto that bulge. Next, starting with the first petal, I'm going to put a line of hot glue on that little bulge and I'm going to press the petal up on against that bulge. Now I'm going to alternate and do this with every other petal. I'm going to put hot glue and then glue the petal up until I have 4 up inside petals and 4 down outside petals. Now with the outside petals, I'm going to put a little hot glue in between the inside petals and overlap the outside petals on top of the inside petals and do that all the way around. Now at this point you could roll your petals inward with a pencil or pinch them in to make more of a shape of the tulip petal. Then you can open up the petals if you want an open flower. Or if you want your tulip closed, you can just gather the petals together and put a few dabs of hot glue in the inside of the petals and just sort of press them closed. And you can use your fingers to bend the petals inward. And this is what it looks like open and closed. To make the leaves, I'm going to take 1 sheet of my green paper and fold that in half. And then from the bottom to the top of that piece, I'm going to cut a half leaf shape to make a really long leaf. Then I'm going to take one of the pieces that's left over, I'm going to fold that in half and cut a smaller leaf out of that piece. So I'm going to put some glue in the center of the smaller leaf and glue that towards the center bottom, and then glue the larger leaf a little above that on the side. So I made myself a pretty bouquet of white tulips, and I'm going to put these in a tall glass vase. Now since this is a glass vase and I don't have water in it, I'm going to cut some more leaves to put at the bottom of the vase just to make it look a little more realistic. It's going to hide the stems and it'll look more leafy like the natural tulips. So I was able to get about 6 stems from that green wire, and I used 2 rows for this bouquet. Now since it's Easter and I happen to have a bunch of colorful coffee filters that I dyed before, I'm making a pretty basket with different colored tulips. I made the tulips the same way, but for the basket flowers I'm cutting the stems short and the leaves I am having extend over the heads of the tulips so that you can see the leaves in the basket. I'm hot gluing the floral foam to the basket just so I can position the flowers in the basket. And these baskets I picked up from Dollar Tree for $1 each. And then I stuffed the inside of the basket with a little Spanish moss. And now I have lovely Easter bouquets to go around my home and last all spring long. Now you can paint on any surface indoor or outdoor and mix millions of colors to create endless home beauty with our Your House a Home metallic multi-surface acrylic paint. Get your set of 8 beautiful colors on sale now at Amazon.com. Also available on Amazon in paperback and ebook is Volume 1 of our Book of Elegant Home Crafts. In it, you'll find step-by-step instructions for garden projects, home decor, event and wedding, even paper plants and flowers. And right now, only from my online bookstore, you can get the hardcover coffee table book for $10 off by using the coupon code in the description tab below. Follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and Snapchat at Your House a Home and Your House a Home TV for daily home, food, and gardening tips.